Here we go. We're gonna go over. We're gonna go over the trade that we took today in the Hunters Club. For one, and two, we're gonna go over the setup. This is the setup that you should be looking for every single day. This is gonna happen a lot. You can use the tools to find this. It helps you get into it a little bit better and hold a little bit longer. But yeah, so this is going to be um, our orb break that we take, assisted by the First Light Beacon, and really giving, really, instead of, is this bull flag going to break out of the orb? Is it going to do this? Is that, we have a general idea of what's going on, and we trade it. So first of all, this morning I knew that news was coming in 10 o'clock. We got this little wick push here like that, and it dropped down, and it literally took liquidity from the bottom, and they already had taken the top. Yesterday's gap was already taken. So it's like, what's really going to happen today? And I honestly, I didn't know. I don't chart anymore. I don't go back and try to predict what the market's going to do. I don't do any of that. I look at my tools. I literally get on the computer, and 5 minutes later, I've got a game plan and I'm waiting for it to happen. And why am I able to do that? Why don't I have to spend 3 hours charting in the night before, looking and this and that and drawing out key levels and blah, blah, blah? Just because of the tools we use. I don't do that anymore. Okay. Honestly, I don't. I come over here, I'll look at a 4-hour chart like this every now and then and be like, oh, okay. See, if you look, I got drawings and they got little levels on here and stuff. And I draw out my 4-hour chart, and that's about it. This is it right here. This is about as much that I do right here. And we're going to get into the trade we took this morning. And basically what it was is the news came in, we waited, the beacon line turned green after it broke the orb. Beacon line turned green, right? And it withheld the 50% of the 15-minute opening range right here. That's what this is signifying, these lines, and pushed up over the 45-minute zone here. So just for those that don't know, I'm going to turn off this one. This yellow is the 45-minute candle being turned into a support and resistance zone. And what happens is when price is moving along, we'll wait for this to populate. You will see that the zone moves with it and it leads it. You see that right there? So what did we do? Well, when I noticed that price broke out of the orb and came down and retested the zone and started pushing up again with our candles green, this is being powered by the indicator. I bought into this bull break here, or this bull flag break. So we're breaking out, we're coming up over the First Light Beacon, major confluence right there. We're above the zone, we're above it, it's acting as support. Remember what I said, 45-minute candle turns into support and resistance, and it pushes up and breaks, and then we're off to the races. That was the trade that we took this morning. And if you want, you can hold it until something like this happens and you get a zone. See that's called the end cap. So that is the new 45-minute candle forming right here. There we go. You'll see it. Okay, so now you see how this went like this. The new 45-minute candle right at noon forms, and this is called the end cap. These are our true supply and demand areas, and price right here broke down through it and actually takes it away. That would be my signal to close. At that point, I believe price is going to come down, tap into this demand zone, and bounce back up, right? That's what I would think is going to be happening next. So you get out of the trade and you run and you hold it for how many ticks. There's 88 ticks right there. Yes. And that's how you would want to really get out of a trade like that. Now, I had set it to TP1 and TP2, and they were both hit, which is awesome. But this is the setup. This is how you use the zones. Now, with the other one, I'm going to show you how you can really use these tools real quick. And what we're looking for now, so this right here is a 2-hour, the red one is a 2-hour candle turned into support and resistance, right? We can also come in here and use New York, London, Asia. So if we went to New York, we turn it on intraday. This is now New York's from starting at 9:30 support and resistance zone. So what happens right at 9:30? We get a sweep over the zone. I'm going to turn off the 45, and we get a sweep over and over and under, right? And then it bounces up, and look at what price is doing. And then if you look at the previous day, it went bearish, and if you look, price broke down right at 9:30. Boom. So if you've ever seen me take those 9:30 breaks, this is how I do it. And it breaks down, crosses up, and then comes back under, and we're off to the races on shorting. And there you go. A lot of times, if you get into your super trends throughout the whole day, you can actually just hold your stop loss above this zone and just hold it and hold it and hold it, and you will drop with it. Now, that's the New York 9:30 zone. There's also the daily candle, which is the daily zone. So we come over here and we go to day open, and it's actually the daily candle from 6 p.m. This is the formation of the daily candle turned into support and resistance zone. And if you notice, price boom bounces up and it stays above this zone and never comes below it, except that news thing right there wicked this liquidity, and it kept pushing. So if you were to get into this trade and use this as your support, you would have been able to hold that trade all the way from 6 p.m. the night before. Anyways, let's get back into how we actually use it on an intraday level. So we're going to go back to our 2-hour zone here, and then we're going to turn our 45-minute zone back on. I just basically have the indicator installed twice. And what are we looking for? How do we use this to actually get into intraday trades? Here is a perfect setup for a scalp. So, well, you know what? We'll go to NQ, and we'll use NQ as an example because that's what everybody likes to scalp. So right here, the 45-minute zone. So we're going to turn off the candles for now, right? The 45-minute zone right here breaks away from the 2-hour. And I'm going to show you what that looks like when it does it in real time. So when it breaks away, see how it's lifting up? You now have a demand zone sitting here, right? So it comes up, and then our beacon line, what do? Well, we're waiting for our beacon line to come back down into the 2-hour zone, into this demand area right here, right? And then we're waiting for it to turn green, and there it turns green. Let's look at our candles. Look at that right there. Look at this scalp. So if we were to buy this, and we were just to go, I don't know, to this high right here, something like that. We're getting wicked big time. And there you go. Look at that. So we're getting wicked. But if you look, it never came below this 2-hour zone right here. See that? So you can hold your stop loss down here. Obviously, we wouldn't use 15 contracts. It's insane unless you just got it like that. But if you look at what happened, boom. Now we're very wicky. Every day has been very wicky. But it's gonna push. You're gonna get a scalp out of that, right? Now we can go back and look at times where it hasn't been so wicky, because this whole week has been wicky. It's been pretty bad, honestly. So we'll come over here and we'll look at this drop. I'll show you how you can get into this drop just by watching these zones. All right. So the 45 breaks away from the 2-hour. So the yellow is leaving the red. So the beacon line is coming down red, red, red. That's this line right here. And then it goes green. It comes back all the way back up into this supply area. This supply. It hits the 2-hour zone, respects it. So how do you trade this? Well, okay, we're going to wait for price to come up. Wait for this to populate. There we go. We're going to wait for price to come back up here. And then once our beacon line turns red, price action is dropping. There it is right there. That is momentum. We'll do this for real. So say we would put like maybe 2 contracts on there. We're going to sell, right? And we're going to put our stop loss at the zone. And we're going to take profit at this liquidity point here. Now, you could take TP 1, 2, and 3 in the middle, right? And try to get all of it. But we'll just take profit right there and see what happens. And there you go. And there's your perfect example of, honestly, I would probably add in right here, but this is your perfect example of your break, retest. And what is this? This is a bear flag. And it's showing you when the bear flag is done and dropping. And you will get into these bull and bear flag entries and these continuation entries like no other. I'm telling you right now, once you start using this tool, you are going to get into entries that are insane. You're just going to be popping left to right going, damn, look at this. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Now let's get another example in here real quick of another short. Okay, so we get a break, right? With knife edge drops, bam, 45 leaves. You never get coming up. You never come up. So you're just sitting there waiting and waiting and crossing. Not really, because what happens? The 45 leaves the 2 hour again right here. It comes up and it respects this one right here. It's respecting that zone. Watch. You're gonna have a box there. Since it's already, you can, since it's been mitigated, it disappears. Now you can change it so that it stays light, so you'll still see them. I just let them get this, just get whacked out. I don't want to see them anymore. And here we go. Watch when this thing gets fully mitigated. Well, there was a scalp entry right there. There it was right there. So it must have been mitigated later on. I wasn't really paying attention, and that was a scalp entry drop right there when it turned all the colors. And you could have, well, here's a bear flag right here, but your main bear flag entry is right there. So when it turned red on this candle busting down through. You get into your trade on however you really wanting to enter. I drop down into a 15-second time frame and look for the really tight entry. But you can get into the trade and you're using your stop. You're using, if you get in right here, you're using the zones. You're using the zones. Like this middle line here on the 2 hour is a perfect spot for the stop, right? And then you're coming down as far as you can get and just trailing and trailing and trailing. So that's kind of how I do it. That's the simple version of it. But here we go. And that is the power of the First Light Beacon. Now you can actually use this thing in a ton of different ways. You can change your settings to 45s, whatever candle you want, really. And it'll turn into, so here we go. We'll go into a 15-minute support and resistance of the 15-minute candle. And here is the 15-minute candle now. And instead of 45, boom, see how it just changed? Now, when price is moving along, which we'll do like right here, wait for this to populate, and TradingView's been slow lately, or is my computer? I don't know. So if you watch, see how this thing is populating? Now, if I can go to, I'm going to drop down into a smaller time frame. The smaller I get, the smaller I go, because you can really get into these trades. Like, the market moves in waves where bounce off the zone. Here's a buy right here. Here is a buy right here. Boom, 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 boom. There's 40 ticks. There's, what is that? Was that 20 points? Yeah. 5 points. 5 times 4, 20. Yeah, 5 points. 5 points of NQ right there, and all it just bouncing off the zone and changing colors. Here you go, boom. There's 40 ticks, 5 contracts. That's $1,000. 1 contract, that's $200. And then immediately again, it does it again. Boom, bounces off and just look at that. There's another 40 ticks, and it does it again. Boom, bounces off, right? But where you're going to get your real good big moves is when that thing comes down and retest these zones here. Retest these demand zones. And if you look, the zone is being created with price. Okay, so this is literally leading price. And here we go with the formation of the zones right there. This is the First Light Beacon. This is what is powering the automation strategies that we've created. The First Light Beacon is where it's getting its entries to get into trades. And if you see how these are like wicking these zones, these are real. These are very real areas and key points that you should seriously be paying attention to. Now you can get into higher time frames. You can get into, we'll go to the hour chart, right? So here's an hour chart, and we're going to actually turn that one off, turn this on, and we're actually going to go to the weekly zone. Okay, so we're going to set up a weekly candle turned into support and resistance. And what did I do here? Oh, it's on scalping. Okay, so you're going to go to intraday. And then there we go. Look, here is the weekly zone. And look at the hour candles bouncing off the weekly zone. If this doesn't give you perfect bias, if you can't see this for yourself, comes up, bounces, boom, bounces, boom, it's showing you the waves. It's showing you exactly where you need to be paying attention and to get into entries and etc. Even on these manipulation grabs, look at this right here. Bam, look, it still doesn't drop below the zone. So if you're swing trading holding price, you're holding at this zone. You're holding at this zone, right? Your stop loss is trailing this zone. Trailing the zone. And you can hold this sucker for weeks and weeks and weeks. And finally, you're getting stopped out up here somewhere because you're trailing this zone, right? So you get in way down there and you get out way up here 3 weeks later. So that is the power of the First Light Beacon. It is available. We have plenty of users that use it. They make money. I make money. I want you to make money. I want you to have this edge. If you still are looking for an edge, something that is a serious edge, you have just found it. Go to breakouthunter.com and click on join the Hunters Club, or use the standalone indicators.